That is an initial permanency hearing involving Ava Johnson, the child. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the child. Ms. Grant is with us representing the mother, Ms. Musto, who is with us. I'll also call cause number 79792L2. That case is also an initial permanency hearing involving the child, Max Musto. Again, Ms. Gutierrez for the department, Ms. Wiggins for the child, Ms. Grant for the mother, Ms. Musto, and in that case, the father, John Musto, is also with us. That's all of the parties in both cases. I have Antar Outley in the waiting room.
That's my caseworker on this one, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. He is with us. Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Antar Outley as its witness.
Okay. Mr. Outley, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. You're going to have to speak up. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Antar, who do you work for?
St. Francis Ministries.
And what do you do for them?
A permanency specialist.
Okay. Can you sit? Are you able to sit back just a tad so
Okay.
we
I'm
can
afraid if
see?
he sits back, we're not going to be able to hear him.
Oh, is that the problem, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. Antar, please disregard my request.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. And so you are the permanency specialist assigned to the Musto Johnson children. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who are the parents of Max?
John Musto and Marcy Musto.
And Marcy's also the mother of Ava, correct?
Yes.
All right. And unfortunately, Ava's father's passed away. Is that correct as well?
Yes.
You prepared and filed court reports in each of these cause numbers on June 30th of 2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of those court reports.
All right. So noted, and I read both reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. Antar, since the filing of the court report, what are the updates on Ava?
Ava's doing fine. She's enjoying her summer. She plays on TikTok. She goes with her friends to Synergy a lot. This Thursday, she went to the lake. They did fireworks there as well. Everything's going good with her so far.
And did she pass everything in school?
Yes. She'll be going to the 10th grade.
And is she continuing in therapy?
Yes.
Thank you. And can I get an update on Max since the filing of the court report?
Max is doing well also. Does a lot of gaming with his friends online. Likes to play Roadblock on the laptop. He talks to him through the phone. He spends time with his dad. He likes to play Zelda on the new DS they have. So
Okay.
far he's doing, yes, okay.
And what grade is he going into?
Max will be going to the 6th.
Has either child had any significant medical issues since the last hearing?
No.
Okay, great. And how is Marcy progressing on her services?
She's doing well. She started her individual counseling with Jennings family on the 17th. She has to have on the 25th. Her next one is scheduled the 9th. And then the 16th. So it looks like every Tuesday of the week. Her OSAR is scheduled for July 9th with Lori Oliver of Texas Panel Centers. She started parenting with Texas Education parenting classes. It's like 8 hours online. She paid the $65 to take it. She started it, but she hasn't finished.
Okay, so it sounds like she started a lot of things. How many
Yes.
sessions of individual therapy has she had?
She's had 2 so far, the 17th and 25th. The next one is on the 9th. They was on break for the 4th of July.
Okay, and it sounds like she started parenting but not yet completed it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that she has an OSAR assessment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, from your court report, it appears that Marcy completed ChildCustody. Is that accurate?
Yes, but there was no documentation of an OSAR because I guess it was done over the phone.
Okay, thank you. You answered my question. That was going to be my next question.
Okay.
So, what more are we expecting to see from Marcy before we can look at reunification?
Just a stable income and completing her services. She's been consistent with her visits. She's done very well. So
Great. How are her visits going?
They're going well. They're like every Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30. And she's been consistent every week. So I think there was only one that was canceled because she got there kind of late, but since February or somewhere in there, she's been on point. Like, it's been consistent.
And regarding John Musto's visitation with Max, what type of visitation does he have with Max?
Those are unsupervised now.
And how many hours per week is he having unsupervised visits with Max?
Max has been staying with him basically every weekend.
And is Ava participating in any of those visits?
She goes like sometimes because she likes to have their little guy time and she likes to hang with her friends instead. But she does attend some of them. She does want to help decorate the new room for the new apartment that John just recently got. So
And when Ava goes with John and Max, is John's visitation with Ava unsupervised as well?
yes,
Are there any, let me get an update on John Musto's service plan. How is he progressing on services?
he completed his parenting with Fatherhood Fire on 5/29. He was supposed to start counseling with Jennings, but they're not accepting any clients right now. So I sent a referral to Rolling Plains, and they asked for his number. So I'm just waiting to hear when they start those sessions.
Okay. And both children continue in a relative placement, is that correct?
Yes,
Can you tell us which relative that is?
Julie Wild, the grandmother.
Is that the maternal grandmother?
Yes,
Let's see here. Are we asking for any drug screens to be ordered today?
yeah. Yes, I'm gonna need Marcy to do a hair follicle and UA for the month.
Okay. And do we need, let's see. Are there any additional services for either parent that need to be made in order of the court?
No,
Are there any services for either child that need to be made in order of the court?
no,
Do you believe it is contrary to the welfare for the children to return to Marcy Musto today?
at this time, no.
And let me clarify, are you saying that it's not a danger if they were to return to her today, or there is a danger if they return to her today?
Oh, there is.
There is, okay. And so would that mean it's contrary to their welfare to return to Marcy today as well?
Yes,
And regarding John Musto, is it contrary to Max's welfare to return to John today?
yes,
And would it pose any kind of danger to return to John?
yes.
What danger would there be in returning Max to John?
Just until he completes his counseling sessions. Besides that, he's the non-offender. Everything's been good. So
Okay, okay. And you, do you recall that there's a court order for Max not to be moved without a prior court order?
yes,
Thank you. Can you please describe the department's reasonable efforts to reunify the family?
because we created a family plan. We found resources close to Amarillo that they could use to like initiate those services. This is there.
Are you also sending out referrals for the parents to start some of those services?
Yes,
Okay. Is St. Francis also sending out payment on some of those services?
yes,
And we are facilitating visitation for both parents of Max, is that correct?
yes,
And we are facilitating visitation for Marcy with Ava, is that correct?
yes.
Are there any other requests for the court today?
At this time, no.
Okay, pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Outley, are you also aware of Marcy's follow-up with AA meetings at 3 per week?
Yes,
And she's been consistent with those, would you agree?
yes,
And her absence from her home during inpatient treatment caused her to get behind on her house payments. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And she has since worked very hard and gotten that completely caught up, has she not?
Yes.
And so she has essentially done the treatment and saved her home. Would you agree?
Yes.
And along with the inpatient treatment and the follow-up outpatient, are we still going to need that OSAR, or is that something that basically is now out of order based on the completed services?
I just wasn't sure because I didn't have documentation or to prove that it had been done. So I wasn't sure how I was supposed to work on that. But so I was like, because there's no documentation of it, but it was done over the phone. So I wasn't sure how that worked.
Okay, so do you feel it's still necessary, or do you feel she's completed anything that it would recommend?
I feel she's completed anything it recommends.
Okay. Do you have any objection to us asking the court to waive the OSAR at this time?
No.
And do you have any objection to increasing visitation for Miss Musto?
No.
And do you feel that there's anything additional that Marcy could do that you're not seeing done at this time?
No, but she's been doing pretty well as far as so far.
And Max is actually making straight A's in school right now, or he did till summer, correct?
Yes.
And are you opposed to Miss Musto beginning unsupervised visitation as soon as we can start the increase without us returning to court to request that?
It's fine with me. They've been consistent. They get along well during most of the visits, so no rejection here.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Wiggins?
Is it your understanding that there have been some arguments between Ms. Musto and Ava during her visitation?
Yes, I've been aware of a couple of them at least, just a little minor disagreements.
Okay, and it appears that they do still have some pretty major disagreements between them. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And is it also fair to say that the supervisor party has to step in occasionally to redirect either the mom or the child in the visits?
Yes.
So given that information, do you believe without some type of working on their relationship that it may not be advisable to have them unsupervised?
Yes. I contradict myself.
And in regards to the mother, are there times when she makes comments to the child about the future placement of the
Objection to
children?
this line of questioning, Judge. Unless he is supervising the visits, we would need the visitation supervisor here to testify.
Yeah, Mr. Outley just testified of what you have seen yourself, not what any supervising parties told you.
Okay. I have sat in on a few, but during those there was no arguments or anything. Everything went smoothly to the three I sat in on, but so
Okay. Have there been times when you supervised the visitation that you left before the mom left the child?
there was one occasion because I thought they were leaving too, so I did leave in that one occasion.
Okay.
I thought they were going to the car, so I left too thinking they were going to the car as well. So
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Mr. Outley?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Antar, I just want to clarify some things. The OSAR could be necessary later on if there was a relapse or an additional positive screen. Is that correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Please answer, Antar.
okay, could you repeat that again, please?
I said the OSAR could become necessary again if there was a positive screen or a relapse. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So would you agree perhaps asking the court to make that OSAR requirement conditional now upon an additional positive screen or a relapse?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to the visitation, I just want to clarify something. Today, you are in agreement with Marcy Musto's supervised visitation increasing. Is that correct?
Yes,
Now, Ms. Grant asked you an additional question about moving to unsupervised. We're not asking for it to be moved to unsupervised today. Is that correct?
yes. We just want-
Objection, Your Honor. The question mischaracterized my question. I asked if it could be moved to unsupervised without further court order when appropriate.
And that's why I was asking questions to try to clarify that. Okay, pass the witness, Your Honor.
Anyone else?
No, Judge.
Mr. Outley, is Ava seeing a counselor? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Now, as far as Ms. Musto, drugs have not been an issue, have they? It's just been alcohol consumption?
yes, sir.
All right. And you may not know the answer to this, and I'm not sure I do, but is there really any need for her to have to do a hair strand in UA? I just want to order she be tested for alcohol consumption. I don't know how they do that.
Okay.
Does
Yeah.
anybody know? Is it part of the UA?
It's a UA, it's a special
Okay.
UA judge.
All right, then, Mr. Outley, there's no reason for her to do a hair
Okay.
strand, is there, since there's been no drug usage?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, did you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. At this time, we rest. We do ask the court to make findings that the department is making reasonable efforts to reunify the family.
Okay, I'll make those findings. All right, Ms. Grant, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor. We would just ask for the increases in visitation as testified to by the caseworker, and
Okay,
we would request that the OSAR be waived at this time, and we don't object to Ms. Gutierrez's language that it would be ordered in the event of a relapse, but I think that would be pretty standard anyway, so we don't object to that.
sure, okay, all right, thank you. All right, Ms. Wiggins, recommendations?
I didn't know if you want to ask Mr. Musto if he had anything to
Oh, I'm
add.
sorry, that's correct. Yeah, Mr. Musto doesn't have an attorney. Mr. Musto, if you have any questions for Mr. Outley today?
Just a clarification. Good morning, everyone, by the way.
Morning.
Just a clarification about the verbiage of Max still being a danger to be with his dad. I mean, Max is here with me right now. He stayed the last couple nights with me and the last couple weekends. I just wanted to know what the danger was, and also how counseling can repair that danger. I just wanted to get clarification on that.
Mr. Outley, can you answer that, or? I have the same question that Mr. Musto did. If Max is staying with him, Mr. Musto, has he been allowed to stay with you overnights?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my question too, Mr. Outley. If it's not a danger for him to stay some nights, why is it a danger for him to be placed back with his father?
Honestly, I didn't think there was a danger either. I just wanted just to complete his individual counseling. Everything else, he's been doing good.
Okay, that's Mr. Musto. Any other questions?
Like Mr. Outley said, there was some issues with Jennings. I have been counseled by them in the past. They're not taking any new patients at this time, like he said. I just need I guess a link or some information on other counseling to I guess get that started. I'm not against counseling. I just wanted to know what the word danger meant in this scenario.
Yeah, well, I think he's answered the question for me. It's the same question you asked. So, all right, Ms. Wiggins, any witnesses?
I do not have any witnesses.
All right,
And Your
now your
Honor,
recommendation.
I-
Yes,
I apologize. I have a couple of questions for John Musto.
okay, go ahead.
I'll be quick. Mr. Musto,
Yes.
Judge, he wasn't sworn. He just started.
Okay, Mr. Musto, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Musto, I think at the beginning of the case, you had said that you were not prepared to be placement for Max. Is that correct?
Yes, I was concerned at the time because there was a lot going on. I have a full-time job, and getting him to school and picking him up from school may have been a challenge at that time.
Okay. Has any of that changed for you? Are you still wanting Max to continue? Oh, I apologize. Let me separate my questions. Has that changed for you?
Well, during the summer, of course, that there's no issues at all. Now, as far as like before school programs, after school programs, I'd have to get the information on that. Him going into middle school this year, I'd have to get the information on how I can manage going to work and getting him to school and picking him up from school. I think that there was going to be some help with Julie Wilde on some of that. So I think if there wouldn't really be an issue, there shouldn't be anyway, as far as that goes.
So as of today, are you wanting things to stay the same as far as Max being placed with Julie?
Yes, because we kind of help each other out as far as if there's anything that Max needs to do or go or anything like that, then I'm more than willing to do that, and she is too. So,
am I allowed to say anything at all?
Right. I passed the witness.
Who was that?
Marcy?
It was my client, Judge. I can call her if she
Okay, yeah.
has anything to say.
Let's be sure we're through with Mr. Musto. Anybody else have further questions? All right. Miss Grant, go ahead and call your client.
Okay, my first witness is Marcy Musto, Judge.
All right, ma'am, if you'd raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
All right, Miss Grant.
Okay, Marcy, can you tell me, has Max always resided with you in the home that you currently have?
Yes.
And do you have any concerns about Max living with his dad during the school year?
Yes. Well, it's really the concerns. Max has always been with Ava. So that's my main, like, splitting them up. I feel like that would be bad for Max. Like, they've had each other. It's like the only stable thing that they, continue to have is each other, and they're really close. And I just don't feel like splitting them into different homes is a good idea. He's never lived with John, except when we were married. And I feel like it wouldn't be a good idea. And I wanted to ask one question. John, I'm sure that but Max isn't in the room right now. Like, I was kind of worried about that because John said Max is with him. I mean, I'm sure he's not in the room, right, John?
He's not, no.
Okay. I just want him to hear any of this. He's really smart. He listens to everything.
Yep.
That's okay. That's okay. I understand the question. Now, Marcy, even though Ava will not reside with Mr. Musto, she has a relationship with him that was long-term since she was about 1 year old, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And as far as this case is concerned, do you believe that this case would be a good candidate case for mediation in order to you as parents to come to an agreement regarding these children and where they should live and how they should be scheduled?
I mean, I would be fine with that. Me and John, usually we've always kind of worked well together. I mean, usually they're with me and he kind of just has visitation whenever he wants it. So that's kind of how we've done it. And I mean, I guess so. We get along pretty well. And
Okay. And are you asking the judge today that for a court order to go to mediation at the time that we're ready to do that and it's appropriate?
yes, sure. Yes.
Okay. And did you hear Mr. Outley's testimony regarding increasing your visitation?
Yes.
And you agree with that request as well?
Yes. Yes. I would really like that.
Okay. And you understand that more work may be needed before you can go unsupervised, but are you asking the court to allow you to go unsupervised without further hearings if Mr. Outley recommends that and it is staffed appropriately?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm, as soon as possible, would love that.
Okay. And you understand that we're asking today that you not have to complete an OSAR unless you relapse. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And you've been doing well with your AA meetings, is that correct?
Yes.
How often do you go?
I'd say at least 3 times a week, but sometimes I go every day. Just depends on if I'm working. I'm kind of cleaning houses and my schedule's kind of different, but I go most of the time. I go a lot. I go to.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Outley testify that we needed to provide a source of income, correct?
Yes.
And you've been offered a job, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so you expect to be able to verify an income within the next week or so?
Yes, sure. Surely. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
All right. And do you understand that you verify income by providing a pay stub to your caseworker?
Okay. Yeah, it probably won't be within a week though, because they just called me.
Okay. That's okay.
So
Yeah,
sorry.
So as soon as you get a pay stub, please provide a copy to your caseworker. Do you understand to do that?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any further information for the court that I've not asked you about today?
The only thing I would like to just maybe comment on is Ava with the arguing
Okay,
about that. I know that I don't know, my mom and maybe Ava call it argue. Usually what happens with Ava is like she'll be picking on Max and I say, hey, don't pick on Max. And she just goes off on me and she doesn't. So it's not really so much arguing. It's just Ava not. I'm like, Ava, okay, you need to calm down. We just, let's not fight right now. You don't tell me what to do, whatever. She's just being really defiant. And I try to kind of just, so I just don't want to seem like we're not arguing. I'm trying to parent her and she's just not, and she's kind of been that way for a while. She's a teenager, I guess. She's my only daughter. I have older boys and she's way different
Okay.
than me.
So you understand that the therapy could probably be targeted to help the
I
two of
think it
you
would
with
be a
that.
good idea for her and I to go together. We've even talked about it. I mean, we have a good relationship. We talk about everything.
Okay.
She just kind of, but I mean, I think it would be good for me and her to go to counseling together and maybe
Okay.
figure
is
out a
that
way to
So is
communicate.
that a request you'd like to have today, that you and Ava participate in some family therapy?
Yes, yeah, that'd be great, I think.
Okay. Anything else we haven't asked the judge about that you'd like to ask?
I don't think so. Sorry. Thank you
Okay.
for letting me. I just like interrupted. I was
No, it's okay, Marcy. Not everybody understands, and we get it. Thank you so much. Pass the witness, Judge.
Anyone else have questions for her?
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, then. All right, if no one has anything else, then Miss Wiggins, recommendations?
Thank you, Judge. I would recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator of both child. Max is enjoying going back and forth between his grandmother and his father. I think that is a good situation, and I appreciate Mr. Musto acknowledging that he does like to spend time with his grandmother and his sister because they are very close, as Miss Musto said. Also, I have no objection to increased visitation between Miss Musto and Ava. However, I would ask that before it become unsupervised, that we have another hearing. The child has indicated she does not want to do family therapy. So if we get a contrary recommendation to start that, I think that's another issue or topic that we need to take up at a different time.
Well, are you saying you'd want family therapy to be started only if recommended by Ava's therapist? Is that a way to handle it?
Correct, Judge.
Okay.
Because I don't feel if the child is not going to want to do it, I don't believe it's going to be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, a lot of little kinks thrown in here right at the last second.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start then with Ava's case. I'll continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement. I'll order Ms. Musto only to UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today, as for screening for alcohol. Now, obviously, if something else turned up in the UA, but I just want to be sure that they add to that panel just the alcohol screen. I'm more concerned about that than anything else. So I will order that Ms. Musto's OSAR assessment be waived, or well, let me just say be waived unless she tests positive for either any illegal substance or alcohol. If so, then the OSAR will be reinstated as a requirement. I have no problem with ordering increased visitation for Ms. Musto. It will continue to be supervised until recommended by Ava's the children's therapist that it be unsupervised. You won't have to come back to court if that's their recommendation. I'll order family therapy for Ava and Miss Musto if recommended by Ava's individual therapist. I'll order mediation in this case. Then in Max's case, I'll continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement. Same requirements for Miss Musto as to the alcohol drug testing. Same requirements about waiving the OSAR assessment unless she tests positive for any illegal substance or alcohol. And the same about her increased visitation. I'll grant that, and I'll order that it be supervised until such time as the children's therapists recommend it be unsupervised. I'll order mediation in that case also. Now, I don't know how to put this in the order, but I have no problem with Max spending more nights with his father. I understand Ms. Musto's concerned, and that could be an issue, splitting the children. So I'm just going to leave it to Mr. Atlee and the parents to work to try to come up with what's acceptable to everybody. If not, any lawyer can file a motion. We'll be right back here. But least during the summer months for sure, I'm not going to put any limit on how many nights Max wants to stay with his father. So Mr. Atley, I'll kind of put that on you. You just kind of decide what you think's best. And if the parents don't like it, they'll tell their lawyers and we'll be back in here having a hearing on something. But if Max wants to spend more time in the summer staying with his father, I don't have any problem at all with that. So
Okay.
it sounds like y'all all get along well enough. I don't think I'll have to intervene again. I hope so. Okay, I made that about as muddy as I could. I'll set the next regularly scheduled hearing for November 3rd, 2025. It will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so the parties can ask their lawyers or go on the court's online docket a day or two before November 3rd to see exactly what time we'll have the hearing on November 3rd. So, all right, that will. Yeah.
I'm sorry, there was one more thing I just remembered
What's that?
that I believe maybe my mom is moving, thinking of taking Ava out of school and putting her in a new school and for her sophomore year. And she's gone kindergarten, middle school, high school in the same school district, and she goes to Tascosa. And Ava's thinking she can move to Caprock just because she kind of wants to. She's had some friends that moved there because they were suspended from Tascosa. I just feel like she gets in trouble kind of a lot. And I don't know that it's going to help moving her to a different school. I told her, wherever it's not them, it's you getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So if you go there, you're going to get in trouble there too.
Ms. Musto, I can't control Amarillo Independent School District. If your mother moves and that requires that Ava go to a different school, that's an issue I can't control.
Right. No, I don't think she's moving. She's just saying.
Oh, I don't excuse me. I don't think your mother has the authority to decide what school Ava goes to. That's up to the department, because right now they're the managing conservator. So Mr. Atley, let grandma know that she's not the one that decides where Ava goes to school. So okay. All right. Okay, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back at we're past it. I'll be back here very shortly to call another Randall County case. That is a permanency hearing on the Guzman children. So we'll stand in recess. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you.
This is a permanency hearing as well as a motion to change placement or visitation involving the Guzman children.
Mickey, who do you work for?
St. Francis Ministries.
And what do you do for them?
I'm the permanency specialist.
And are you assigned to the family of Joanna and Adrian Guzman and their 5 children?
Yes.
Okay. And let's see, you filed a court report on June 24th of 2025. Is that correct?
Correct.
And since the filing of the court report, can I get an update on how Amalicia is doing?
Amalicia is doing well. She's placed at High Plains Children's Home. She's engaging in band camp, and she was wanting to take college courses at Amarillo College for the summer.
Okay. And does she continue in family therapy with her mother?
Yes, she does.
And how does that report to be going?
Those are going well according to the report.
Great. And as far as Ajant, how is Ajant doing since the filing of the court report?
He's doing well in the home. He's worked on his aggression. He seems to be behaving well. And he's doing well in his placement.
Okay. And how is Adrian Guzman doing, the child?
She's doing well in her placement.
And can we get some details?
They attended church camp till 12 o'clock most days of the week, Monday through Friday. They were showing me a whole bunch of their stuff that they had gotten from church camp. They enjoyed. Adrian Jr. was super excited about it. And she appears to be happy and healthy with no concerns in the home.
And the older 3 children, Amalicia, Ajant, and Adrian II, or as you refer to as Junior, all of them are placed together. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And Analia, where is she currently placed?
She's placed in a foster home in Canyon.
And can we get some updates on how she's doing since the filing of the court report?
She's doing well in the home. She's potty trained. She's behaving well. She doesn't have any outbursts or any outcries. She's just a happy 2-year-old. She has beautiful curly hair. And she's very attached to her siblings.
And regarding Alizarin, where is she currently placed?
She's in a foster home in Amarillo as well.
And can we get some updates on her since the filing of the court report?
Yes, she is standing on her own. She's attempting to hold on to furniture and walk. She's doing well. There's no concerns regarding her head shape anymore. It appears that she will no longer qualify for ECI services as she appears to be on target. And she's doing really well in the home. She's very attached to the foster parents at this point. But she also enjoys her visits.
Now, as far as not qualifying for ECI, would that be because of her age or because of the progress?
Because of the progress, and she'll be coming up for an evaluation where she's being reevaluated.
Okay.
And we're guessing that this will be an ECI service that she no longer qualifies for.
Now, going back to Amalicia, what grade is she going into?
She is going into the 10th grade.
And is she continuing in her regular individual therapy as well as the family therapy with her mom?
Yes.
And what grade is a Jaunt going into?
I believe he's going into 5th grade.
And is he continuing in his individual therapy as well?
Yes.
And regarding Adrian II, what grade is she going into?
3rd grade.
And is she continuing in her therapy?
Yes.
And Analia, how old is she now?
Annalia's 3.
And she does not qualify for to be enrolled in school at this time. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Alizarin, how old is Alizarin at this time?
She's 1.
Okay, so she's definitely not enrolled in school, huh?
No.
Okay. How is Joanna progressing on her services?
Joanna's doing extremely well with her services. She's got her own place. She has her own transport. They have both been consistent since removal. She's engaged in counseling. She engages in counseling with Amalicia. She continues to engage in counseling even though she's completed counseling through Camarillo Simon. She has not had Adrian in the home. She's moved him out and she states she's willing to do whatever it takes to bring her children home.
Okay. And has there been a positive shift since the last hearing in terms of her protectiveness of the children?
Yes.
Okay. Are we asking today to extend the case to help facilitate a reunification plan with mom?
Yes.
And that means we're asking for the court to extend the dismissal date. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you give us some details of the proposed reunification plan for the family, or rather for the children with Joanna?
Yes. So it would go with unsupervised visits starting July 12th, 13th, 19th, and 20th for 8 hours. It would then go to overnight visits starting July 25th to July 27th, August 1st to August 4th, then August 8th to August 11th, where we will be placing the children in Joanna Guzman's home August 11th.
Okay. So you agree August 11th is about 5.5 weeks away. Is that correct?
Correct.
Why do you feel that these increased visitation steps are necessary to help with reunification?
With 5 children and so many schedules going on, also the newness of returning the children home, this will give Joanna Guzman time to reestablish all the children in her home, the caregivers, the schedules, and get everything kind of back under her wraps versus under placements.
And if Miss Guzman is asking for the children to come home today, what would be your response?
That we would need to gradually work them into the home to help keep an eye and reinforce her with services to ensure that we're putting the family back intact completely instead of rushing it all at once.
Okay. In regard to Adrian Guzman, how is the father progressing on his service plan?
The father is engaged in services. He has not completed a psychosexual evaluation. He's working on getting the bridge interview so that the physician can complete that evaluation. He's still engaged with Simon Camarillo, but he's finished. There's no visits because of the criminal case against him with the older child. There was also a new reason to believe on him for physical abuse on Amalicia and an unable to determine on Adrian and a Johns.
In regarding visitation, what is Joanna's visitation currently?
She gets an hour to 2 hours she gets 2 hours every Friday.
And is that still supervised?
Yes.
Are there any additional services that need to be ordered for Mrs. Guzman?
No, ma'am.
Are there any additional services that need to be ordered for Mr. Guzman?
No, ma'am.
Are there any drug screens that we are requesting today?
No, ma'am.
Can you please identify the reasonable efforts that the department is making to reunify the family?
Yes, we're doing monthly contacts. There was a service plans developed for the family in which both parents have engaged in those services. We keep communication going openly with them to ensure that they're engaging in services and their service providers. We've also done home studies on family members and providers for possible placement. We've also have gathered information from Miss Guzman to start working on that reunification plan. And she has also provided daycare providers who are willing to be backup caregivers for the children while returned in her care.
Okay, so who are the I guess supportive caregivers that Ms. Guzman has identified would help her with this would help her take care of the kids?
Yeah, it was Brittany and
Mickey, do you need to check your notes?
yes.
Okay.
I apologize. She did provide two providers that work at the daycare for them. I cannot find them in my notes at this time.
Is it Myra and Rachel?
Yes.
And is the name of the daycare she plans to utilize Friendship Ranch Daycare?
Yes.
And are Myra and Rachel approved caregivers by the department?
Yes.
And have you had a conversation with Ms. Guzman that only approved caregivers are able to take care of the children?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Are there any other requests we need to make of the court today?
No, ma'am.
Now, going back to the details of that reunification plan, what is the date of that proposed placement of the family, of the children into Joanna's home?
August 11th.
Okay. And what is the scheduled start date for school in that area, if you know?
August 16th.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Naranjo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Lane, the last hearing was back in March 28th of 2025, correct?
Correct.
And at that hearing, we also addressed potentially placing the children home, correct?
Correct.
But it was established by the department, by your testimony, and by the counselor that you all wanted to observe, St. Francis wanted to observe mother outside of therapeutic visits with the children to make sure she's built the skills necessary to have the children placed in her home, correct?
Correct.
And in your report, you report that it's reported that mother does well in parenting and redirecting her children during visits, correct?
Correct.
So she's shown the skills that she developed with her counselor through and has displayed those skills in visitation.
Yes.
Now, you've also testified that Joanna reports that Adrian's not at the home and that you and Casa have been to the home and have not seen Adrian present, correct?
Correct.
At this time, is there any concern of continuing danger with placing the children home with Miss Guzman?
No, ma'am.
Now, do you recall mentioning to Miss Guzman back in May 15th of 2025 regarding establishing a potential reunification plan?
Yes, I do.
But at that point, you never developed a reunification plan, did you?
I did not.
And then you also mentioned to my office, May 28th of 2025, that you were looking at restaffing for a possible reunification, correct?
Correct.
And still at that time, there was no staffing done for a reunification, correct?
There was a staffing done.
But no reunification plan was submitted to the court or provided to any parties, correct?
Correct.
And then in June of 2025, on June 23rd, you emailed my office stating that you had a medical emergency, but that again, you were looking at trying to do a reunification plan.
Correct.
Now, when you're out for medical emergencies and things like that, does your supervisor usually fill in for you for your responsibilities?
Yes.
And so wouldn't it have been their job at that point to have filled in with your responsibility on doing a reunification plan?
Yes.
And it's still one was not done, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, a detailed reunification plan has not been provided to all parties till today.
Correct.
And so a reunification plan could have been done in May by St. Francis, but didn't get done until the beginning of July.
Not correct.
You had the opportunity to staff and do all these things and get it done, but waited till now.
Not
I'm
correct.
going to object to argumentative.
Overrule.
Would you agree with me that you had ample time to have established a reunification plan, provided to all parties, and have filed it with the court before today?
Correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Pirtle?
Judge, I have no questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Noack.
Thank you, Judge. Just briefly, Mickey, always good to see you. And I think I heard you testify earlier, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no danger placing the kids with mom today?
Correct.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Judge, pass the witness.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Ms. Lane?
I have just one follow-up question.
Okay.
Ms. Lane, have you gone over this reunification plan with Joanna?
I have not been able to go over the approved reunification plan with Joanna at this time.
Okay. And is this approved reunification plan? And when I say approved, I'm referring to approved by St. Francis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is this reunification plan substantially different from a reunification plan you went over with her before?
Yes.
Okay. How is it different?
So with the reunification plan, you have to create one and take it to your supervisors and your program director, and they must go over it thoroughly and approve it. I have been attempting to do this since May. And then I was out on medical emergency leave and followed up with it in June, and we just got it back approved this morning.
So when you went over the reunification plan before with Ms. Guzman, what was the proposed placement date for the children?
We were going to try and shoot for July 3rd, but the placement, the official date, they would be placed in the home before August 1st.
Okay. So despite any delay that may have happened, is it in the children's best interest to be placed in the home without a reunification plan or with a reunification plan?
I'm sorry. It would be in the kid's best interest to be placed in the home with a reunification plan, as it's not so abrupt and jarring in their daily life and schedule to just be disrupted and moved to another placement without a gradual condense.
Okay. Ms. Lane, are you able to put your dogs up?
Yes.
Okay, if you would please do that, because I think we're going to continue with questioning here in a minute. Your Honor, may we have a break to do that?
Sure.
Thank you. Are you
Okay,
ready,
I
Nikki? Okay, thank you. All right, I pass the witness again.
All right. Anyone else? Mr. Ronho?
No questions, Your Honor.
Anybody else have other questions for Ms. Lane?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. The department rests. We ask for a finding of the department making reasonable efforts to reunify the family.
All right. I will make those findings. Mr. Ronho, any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I would call Miss Joanna Guzman.
Okay. Ms. Guzman, if you'd raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Ronho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Guzman, can you please state your full name?
Joanna Guzman.
And Ms. Guzman, are you asking for your children to replace home with you today?
Yes,
And why are you asking for your children to replace home with you today?
because we're ready for them to, I'm ready for them to come home, and I think that they're ready to come home.
And will Adrian Guzman have any contact with the children while they're in your care?
No,
And who will be taking care of the children if you have to work or unavailable to care for them?
so Friendship Branch is the daycare that I'll be taking the children to, and that they'll be going to. And then on the Saturdays that I'm required to work, Myra and Rachel Sanders, who are daycare teachers, are going to be watching the kids.
And to clarify for the court, you're typically only asked to work the first Saturdays of each month, correct?
I'm only required to work the first Saturday of every month. And my job has already made it to where I'm flexible and I can take care of them while we're trying to get this transition for them.
Now, you've heard some testimony today that St. Francis and the department feel that you need time to get acclimated to having the children back in your care. Do you agree with that?
No.
And why don't you agree with that?
Because I don't feel like I need any time for the children to come home. I'm ready for them to come home, and I'm ready for that.
And have you made all arrangements for them to come home today?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Guzman, do you plan on having any support in your home with you? Not to supervise you with the children, but just to help you with the 5 children together.
I don't understand your question.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Guzman, if you'd speak up a little, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I don't understand your question.
Will you have any support system coming in just to spend time with you and the kids and help you out? Not to supervise, let me clarify. I'm not saying supervise, but just to help you with having 5 children all together again.
I know that the daycare is willing to help me. I know Myra and Rachel and Carrie are willing to help me. I know I have a support system of friends who are able to help. I know that I have coworkers that are willing to help. So yes, I have several people that are willing to come and spend time if that's something that we need.
Okay, pass the witness.
Mr. Pirtle, any questions?
No question.
Mr. Noack?
Just briefly, Judge. Ms. Guzman, when is the last time that you had these 5 kids in your care alone, just you and the 5 kids? If ever.
When they were taken into custody, I had them for a month, all 5 of them, before they were taken.
Okay. Judge, thank you so much, Ms. Guzman. Judge, that's my only question.
All right. If there's no further questions, Mr. Ronho, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses? Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
I'd like to call my client, Mr. Adrian Guzman.
All right. Mr. Guzman, if you'd unmute, please. All right, if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pirtle.
All right, thank you, Judge. Please state your name.
Adrian Guzman.
Okay, you're the father of the children who are the subject of this suit, correct?
Correct.
Do you agree that the children should be placed with their mother at this time?
Yes, I do. I think that is going to be what's best for the children and what's best for Joanna.
And has she been able to take care for all these children at the same time in the past?
Absolutely. I've seen her take care of the children. Many times I was working an overnight job and I was a very present father. And so Joanna was pretty much running the whole household by herself with very little help from me at that time.
I pass the witness.
Gutierrez, any questions?
No, Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Ms. Naranjo?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Noack?
Briefly, Judge, sir, do you have any intention of being a part of these kids' lives if they're returned home to Ms. Guzman?
I'm going to follow any recommendations made by this court.
Do you have a current relationship with Ms. Guzman other than, are y'all married?
We are legally married at this time. We have not had contact for months now.
How many months?
It would have been when I requested to have a new attorney.
Okay. Well, if the court orders you stay away from mom and stay away from these kids, are you going to be able to abide by that order?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Anyone else questions for Mr. Guzman? All right, then, Mr. Pirtle, any other witnesses?
Your Honor, no further witnesses and no further questions of this witness, Judge.
All right. Mr. Noack, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
All right, Mr. Noack, recommendations.
Yes, sir. I'd like the court to know that I had the pleasure of and it really is a joy, visiting with these kids. The two oldest ones, obviously, you can have more of a conversation with than the three younger ones. And obviously, you know, I've got the obligation of what's best for the children and both their wishes. And this is one of those cases, Judge, where at least with the older kids that I can talk to, both those interests dovetail. First of all, I don't think father needs to have any contact with mom or the children, period. I think it's time that we really consider hard about these kids going home. I'm a little bit hesitant of just doing everything right now today on the one hand, but on the other hand, Judge, I think that the reunification schedule that CPS offered today is a little bit stretched out. And basically, Judge, what CPS has, or the department has suggested is next weekend, you know, mom has the kids from 8 to 5 on Saturday and 8 to 5 on Saturday. And then the same for the following weekend, and then starting with overnights the weekends following. My suggestion, Judge, or my recommendation to the court would be that the Saturday, July 12th suggestion for the one-day visit, that this weekend just be overnights, unsupervised overnights this weekend. Unsupervised overnight the following weekend. And if everything goes well, the kids just stay there. Or they'd be placed there the following Monday morning, Judge. I think mom has worked really, really hard, and I'm going out on a limb and believing her that she'll have nothing to do with dad. And I think dad needs to be ordered to have nothing to do with mom or kids until further order of the court. Once again, Judge, these are just precious, precious kids, and they miss mom and they want to go home, but they're very vocal about who they want to go home with, and it is mom. Judge, thank you so much. That's my recommendation.
All right, you kind of confused me there. Are you basically saying two weekends, and the second weekend they just stay home?
If those both overnight weekends go well, Judge, I think the kids stay home. That's my recommendation.
Overnight weekends, you mean Friday to Sunday or what? I didn't follow you.
Well, apparently what the department has recommended is Saturday, July 12th, starting at 8 a.m.
And ending when?
5 p.m. that same day. That's what the department is suggesting.
Okay.
I'm suggesting that they stay overnight that Saturday until Sunday evening. So that's this coming weekend. And then do that same schedule again next week. You know what, Judge? It might be better the following week to start it on a Thursday afternoon. That way we get to see. Okay.
No, this is getting way too complicated.
Here's my recommendation. The next 2 calendar weekends that we have, Judge, kids are placed with mom at 8 in the morning on Saturday and until 5 o'clock Sunday on the next 2 calendar weekends. If those 2 weekends go well, then it would be my recommendation that the kids either stay that Sunday night, or the department might need time to evaluate. We put the kids back home that Monday. And I apologize for being convoluted, Judge.
Okay, let me just, give me a second here.
And my recommendations are also informed by the great work that CASA has done in this case, Judge.
Okay, give me just a second. All right, and CASA, anything to recommend?
I like the idea of the children going home quickly. The older 2 children especially have been incredibly vocal about how much they want to go home and how much they miss being with their mother. The fact that they are also very vocal, they're very communicative. That gives me some reassurance. All of these children are incredibly intelligent, and they are incredibly willing to talk and communicate with everyone, which makes me more comfortable than I normally would be with allowing children to go home quickly. But the older 2 children very much communicate what's going on and know what they need to do if problems arise again.
Okay.
So a quick return. I do think it should be monitored for the first couple of weekends. As far as, I mean, I agree with Mr. Noack's suggestions. Let the overnight start first for a couple of weeks, and if those go well, then let them back.
Okay.
They need to get adjusted being back home and get into a routine before school starts.
Okay, thank you. This is going to sound just as convoluted as everything else I've heard, but all right. First of all, I have obviously granted the department's motion to extend the case and retain the case on the court's docket. I'll continue the department's temporary managing conservator. I'll order the transition monitored return. The way I'm going to do it, beginning this coming Friday, the 11th, the children will go with mother beginning at 6 p.m. on Friday, the 11th, and stay until Sunday night, the 13th at 6 p.m. On the second weekend from then, whatever that date is, children will go back to mom again beginning Friday at 6 p.m. If there's no problems before Sunday at 6 p.m., then the children will just remain there after the second weekend. Now, what I've probably set myself up for a hearing in a couple of weeks is, I don't know how to handle it. If somebody raises their hand and says, well, I think there's a problem, then a parent or whoever, they can file a motion and I'll hear it sometime the next week. Whatever, I don't know the dates. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but if somebody says there's a problem, file a motion. And after that second weekend, Sunday, I'll hear it the following week. I'll work it in somehow. But if I don't hear anything after the 2 weekends, the kids will just stay there Sunday night instead of going back at 6 p.m.
And Your Honor, for clarification on my end, you granted the extension at the beginning of your announcing the judgment or the orders, but then you referred to the placement in the reunification plan as a transitional monitored return. And I just request clarification on which one of those we are officially doing, because I think what hypothetically would happen is, with the extension granted, the deadline goes out 6 months. With a monitored return, the extension would go out an additional 6 months, and I'm not sure if that would be necessary.
What I intend is if they stay home the second weekend, if there's the department, St. Francis, they can continue to monitor it for a reasonable amount of time. I'm not going to say when. Somebody will file a motion to dismiss. And I would hope after the 2 weekends, if nobody has a problem with the kids being home with mom, I would hope the attorneys can get together and just sign an agreed order to dismiss. If not, either Mr. Noack or probably Mr. Naranjo will file a motion to dismiss. And unless I hear that there was a problem these next 2 weekends, I'm going to grant it probably without even a hearing.
Your Honor, I'm going to voice this sounds like my opportunity to request an actual hearing if that type of motion gets filed. We do still have Mr. Guzman's, legal rights to the children intact. And I think it would be in the best interest of the children for the court to address that before dismissing out.
Well, we can do that. I wasn't through with my ruling. I'm going to order there be no contact between Mr. Guzman and Mrs. Guzman or the children of any type. Virtual, phone, in person. So what I anticipate is either somebody's going to be filing a motion in a couple of weeks saying there's a problem. We want the kids, we're going to have to revisit the transition plan, or I won't hear anything. And then I'm hoping I'll either get a motion from probably Mr. Naranjo to dismiss the case, period, or maybe from Mr. Noack. So But until I dismiss the case, St. Francis and/or the department can check on those kids as many times as they'd like to. So,
And Your Honor, at this time, I would go ahead and request that the court set a final about 3 months out.
okay. Let me look at my calendar.
Thank you, Your Honor. And actually, I think the next perm is 120 days out, Your Honor. So it could be 3 to 4 months. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on that.
Well, I was going to announce today before we took up this transition monitored return, I was going to announce final on September 15th. I can leave it there, or I can push it to October 6th.
If we could have October 6th, Your Honor, please.
Okay. Okay, that will see, I've covered no contact. I've set out the 2 weekends. I think that covers at least what I intended to order. So along with no contact of any type between the children and Mr. Guzman. Okay, and I will set the final hearing for October 6, 2025. It will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys, their parties can ask their lawyers, attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before October 6 to see exactly what time we'll have the hearing that day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you all. We'll be in recess. For those of you involved, I'll be back here in about 5 minutes or so, maybe a little longer to call another Randall County case. That is an initial permanency hearing on the Olivares child. So we will be in recess. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank y'all. This is an initial permanency hearing involving the Olivares child. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the child. Mr. Saint is with us representing the alleged father, Mr. Olivares, who I show is incarcerated. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell if he was in Lubbock County or Potter County.
Potter County, Judge.
Okay. And Mr. Barfield's with us representing the mother, Miss Arona. And she is with us. Okay, I have Sylvia Garcia in the waiting room.
Judge, that would be my caseworker.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia, just real briefly, how are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed through St. Francis Ministries.
All right, and are you the caseworker are you the permanency specialist assigned to this case involving Eden Olivares?
Yes, I am the permanency specialist on the case.
Perfect. All right, so let's get an update on Eden. Is he still currently placed with his aunt and uncle?
Yes, he is.
And how has he been doing since our last hearing?
So he's been doing well. They've had some adjustments, and then sometimes he'll misbehave, just, regular behavior, nothing out of the ordinary that would cause any concerns. But he does sometimes tend to misbehave whenever he does not get what he wants. But they do, redirect him, and discipline is taking away electronics and things of that sort, privileges. So he usually does very well whenever, he needs to be disciplined. He'll kind of get back, to his regular behavior and just continue on his day.
Okay. And Eden, if I remember correctly, has he been evaluated for? Has he been diagnosed with ADHD?
Yes, so he was diagnosed with ADHD, and he does do a med review monthly that his aunt takes him to. And so far, everything's been going well with that. They have not upped his dose or anything, but he still is taking his medication daily as prescribed.
All right. And is he still doing individual therapy?
Yes, he does individual therapy bi-weekly.
And are they kind of helping to address some of those issues that have come up in therapy?
Yes. So usually either aunt or uncle will drop him off, and they have been a little bit more open to speaking to the therapist about some of the issues that are happening at the home so the therapist can address them.
Okay, perfect. And so how did he finish out the school year?
He was promoted to the 3rd grade, so he was excited about that. He's doing very well in school. There is a pending testing for him it's basically just to see if he needs any assistance. Because he was diagnosed with ADHD, he actually would qualify for additional assistance in school. So we're kind of just waiting for them to do the educational testing that they do, and then so that they could have an official ARD meeting on him, so they could see what skills they're going to put into play and how they're going to help him, to meet those academic requirements where he needs to be.
Do you know if they were able to complete that before school got out? Are they going to do it during the summer, or are they hoping to do that at the beginning of the next school year?
They're hoping to do it at the beginning of the next school year because they did not have sufficient time to get all of that testing done, because it does take, she said it would take about at least like 30 to 60 days to get him on schedule and to get the testing going. So it would probably be best to continue for the next school year.
But the information regarding the ADHD diagnosis and all that, can that be presented to the school ahead of time, so at least that they're aware once school gets started and can start kind of maybe addressing it informally?
Yes, so we've already submitted all those documents to them, and they said once he starts the school, they will start putting some different skills into play, whichever school he attends. Right now, placement is still kind of deciding on where they want to put him in school, if they're going to put him where he was at currently, or if they're just going to place him somewhere closer to them.
Because he had been continuing to attend in Bushland, where he was originally placed with grandparents, correct?
That's correct.
And current placement lives in the Amarillo School District, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, is there any other updates that we need on Eden regarding the court needs to be made aware of?
Currently, no.
All right. Let's get an update then about the parents and their services. Let's start with the father, Victor Olivares. What kind of contact have you had with him since our last hearing?
Since our last hearing, I was only having a monthly contact with him. So I would reach out to the phone number that he had, and it always goes straight to voicemail, or it would say that the phone was not in service. So I had to start going in person just to kind of do a drop by, an unannounced visit to see him. And that was kind of the only type of contact that I would have with him. If it was unannounced and he didn't know that I was coming, is kind of how I would catch him at his home. Usually it's really brief questions, and then Mr. Olivares gets a little bit agitated and he will no longer, answer my questions, or he'll just make other remarks that are not related to the case about previous cases that he's had. So mainly the only contact I was having was just once a month whenever I would come and look for him.
Now, is that the same home that he was living in when the case originally started?
That's correct.
And who does he live with there?
Currently, it looked like he was living with a friend, and that was a male friend that he was living there with. It wasn't anybody from the original removal.
Okay. All right. Have you been able to talk to him at all about whether or not he's engaged in any of the services that he was ordered to do in his family plan of service?
So the past couple of months, Mr. Olivares has been in Potter County. And so usually I went to go see him those 2 times, and usually whenever he's in jail, he's actually a little bit more willing to speak to me and kind of concentrate a little bit more on what I'm saying to him. When I did speak to him this previous month, he did tell me that he did want to engage in his services. He was moved from being isolated to actually being in population. So he actually is able now to do a little bit more other things that other inmates can do as far as like parenting classes. So we were either going to look into trying to get him signed up for the parenting classes that are given there in the jail, or to getting him a parent packet so that he can kind of work on that to try to get that out of the way. But as far as any of his other services, the jail does not provide any of those other services.
And to your knowledge, did he work any of the services that he'd initially stated he was going to work through the VA hospital? Has he started any of those or completed any of those?
He has not.
So is it fair to say at this time he has not completed any of the services, and at least to your knowledge is not enrolled in them yet?
That's correct.
All right. Let's talk about the mother, Yesenia Orona. Since the last court hearing, has she relocated up here to Amarillo?
Yes, she has.
Okay, and so what sort of communication and contact are you able to have with her?
So Yesenia is actually very good at communicating with me. Anytime she has any changes or anything going on, she's immediately will contact me. The change of address, change of phone numbers. She usually, from the 2 changes that she's had, she's contacted me within the 7 days that we require. As far as our monthly contact, Yesenia does. She was doing a courtesy worker was seeing her when she was out of town, and they didn't have any issues seeing her. And then Yesenia would still do monthly check-ins with me just to kind of give me an update on what she had going on. Now that she's here in Amarillo, I am able to see her face to face. So I do see her monthly, even with our face to face contact that we have. Yesenia will text me any type of updates that she has or anything that she comes across that she might need help with.
All right, and does she have her own place here in Amarillo?
She does not. She's currently living with another sister, not placement.
Okay. Is she looking into getting her own place?
Yes, we actually have sat down and discussed me kind of taking a couple of hours in the morning to drive her around to get applications filled out for her, to help her with that, and to help with the transportation, because that's a little bit of what she needs help with.
Okay. So she's at least attempting to find a place. Is she trying to find a job?
Yes. So she was working at Whataburger whenever she lived out of town. And then they were trying to transfer her somewhere here in Amarillo, but that didn't kind of fall through for her. So now she is just kind of starting to find employment again. She has to find employment again.
Okay. And so from what you're saying, it sounds like you don't have any problem in helping her try to get that taken care of so she can kind of gain some stability?
That's correct.
All right, so what about some of the services that she was ordered to do? Has she completed any of them, or what is her progress?
So she's completed her counseling. She was discharged as completed in May. And then as far as her parenting classes, she has done 3 out of the 6, and she is still currently enrolled in doing some this week that should put her closer to being completed with those. She does have to do the education, alcohol and drug education course, and that's going to be done through the Family Support Services. They did say that they would have to put her in the next group that they had because they had a session set for 7/7, but she was not able to do that course just because they weren't able to process her paperwork fast enough to get her in that course itself. So she's going to be scheduled for the next one.
Okay.
But she has completed the OZAR and she has completed the psychosocial.
Were there any recommendations from either the psychosocial or the OSAR that we need to address or add to the service plan today?
No.
And has she continued to drug screen for the department?
Yes, she has drug screened every month that I've asked her to drug screen.
And based on your report, have the results, at least as of May, been negative so far?
Yes, they have been negative.
Okay, so what is going on with visitation between Miss Arona and Eden?
So it has moved to 2 hours every either Friday or Saturday, just depending on placement. Placement is actually supervising those visits, and that's currently where we're at.
Do those visits, from your knowledge, have they been going well?
Yes, they've been going well so far.
And it looks like maybe there had been some issue with attendance and visits, but that has no longer been an issue since she came to Amarillo. Is that correct?
That's correct. Whenever she first came to Amarillo, she was here just for a family emergency. So during those couple of weeks that she was here, she wasn't technically missing the visits, but the visits were done in person and not virtually.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And and correct me if I'm wrong, is there currently an court order that Mr. Oliveira does not have visitation with Eden until he works his services?
That's correct.
All right. And so at this point, do you believe the department's making reasonable efforts to help reunify the family?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe by helping to facilitate those services that the department's doing that?
Yes, I do.
And by helping transport Miss Arona so she can hopefully find a place and employment, do you think that that's a reasonable effort to help reunify Eden with her?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe trying to engage with Mr. Oliveira's even in jail and setting him up for services, that's a reasonable effort to reunify with him?
Yes, I do.
What are some of the continuing dangers with placing Eden back home with Mr. Oliveira's?
Currently is that he has not made any progress in services. And then also the drug screening, we haven't been able to get a drug screen from him. So those are continuously issues that we have that would put Eden in danger. He does have a home, but not being able to go inside his home and see if he has running utilities and all of those things would also pose a danger right now.
Is it also a concern that he has been in and out of jail at least, I guess, twice now since this case has begun?
It is.
As far as Miss Arona, what are some of the continuing danger concerns we have with placing Eden back with her at this time?
Currently, it's just stability. She needs to have housing and needs to have a stable employment so that way she can thrive once we reunify.
Okay. And I mean, in your opinion, is she making good progress towards completing those services?
I think she is. The only issue that we kind of had was that set us back a little bit was whenever she relocated, because it was just kind of having to transfer everything here to try to get her going. But once that was all put into play, she showed up for her services, showed up for those assessments. So now we're just following the recommendations of those assessments.
And in the transparency for the court, does Miss Arona have another one of her children still in her custody at this time?
She does.
Now, is there anything else the court needs to be made aware of at this time regarding the parents of the child?
There's not.
And we're not asking for any additional services for anybody at this time, correct?
That's correct.
All right, I will pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Garcia, do you know what Mr. Oliveras is in Potter County Jail for right now?
If I'm correct, it was a DUI and driving on a suspended license.
No, I thought that's what he went to Lubbock for. I was real confused about why he was in Lubbock and Potter. And
whenever I went to see him in person, he said that he got pulled over again.
Okay. Well, somewhere in some report I read something about he had a child endangerment charge. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
besides the initial removal.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, questions?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Garcia, as soon as it seems that my client, Yesenia, is working with your department well based on your report and your testimony today, what type of timetable would the department have for maybe expanding visits between mom and Miss Arona, assuming she continues on this same trajectory?
So we have been wanting to extend them longer. The only thing that's kind of pending right now is that we were kind of wanting to do visits with her at her sister's house where she is currently residing. But sister kind of has some reservations on us doing a background check so that we could actually have those visits there at their place and extend them for about 4 hours.
So assuming, and I know we're making an assumption here, if the sister or if Miss Arona finds her own place, the department would not be opposed to extending those visits, given the circumstances.
That's correct.
That's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wiggins, I'm sorry, Mr. Saint first.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Garcia, you talked about difficulty communicating with Mr. Olivares. Is it your understanding he has some mental health disorders?
Yes, that's correct.
And they can be kind of severe at times where he's almost nonsensical. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. Do you have concerns about at times how much he can actually understand about what's going on?
I do. Sometimes whenever I go see him, I ask a couple of questions and he's doing good and he answers back. And it sounds like he's understanding what I'm asking. And then, I mean, if we get more than 4 to 5 questions, he just kind of starts rambling off into a whole other different discussion.
Do you think that from a social worker standpoint, do you feel it might be beneficial for him to have a guardian ad litem to look out for his best interest, as well as having an attorney working for his legal interest?
I think it would be in his best interest, just so that he could get more of an explanation besides just me trying to help him work the services.
And his access, do you have any idea what his access to mental health services is while he's incarcerated?
He told me that basically it's just whenever the nurse sees him, if he puts in a request type of situation, that's whenever they're willing to see him.
But when he was not incarcerated, did it seem to you that he was taking steps to address his mental health?
It did not seem like he was. He was doing, actually, he does better whenever he's in jail. He just kind of seems like he's more coherent with what's going on around him, and he is more willing to elaborate with me what he wants to do as far as working the case, doing his parenting time, and working towards all of those things. Just that's kind of where he's at whenever he's in jail.
But I guess regardless, just like everything else in our cases, regardless of what mental health services are available to him, it's whether or not he's going to take advantage of those and really make an effort. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Just like with a drug addict, it can't be forced. He's got to take steps himself.
Yes.
Okay. And is that one of your major concerns right now, is for him not being able to, besides being incarcerated, be in possession of his children, is his mental health?
Yes, because Mr. Olivares has shown he's been emotional whenever I speak about, when I give him updates about Eden and let him know, like, hey, he got promoted, he just had a birthday, this is what was going on. When I speak about Eden and I give him updates, he tends to get emotional. He has expressed that he does not want to get his rights terminated. And I know that he's just kind of having a hard time when it comes to his mental health.
So there's no doubt in your mind that he loves his child?
There's no doubt.
The concern is his mental ability to be a parent, as well as obviously his criminal cases and everything.
Correct.
Okay. And I guess that mental situation could affect how much or to what extent he can even complete services.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Wiggins?
Thank you, Judge. And I did look at the jail roster. He is in for DWI third or more. So
Oh, okay.
in Potter County jail roster just now.
Okay. I thought the report I read said he was in there. It was somewhere for a DWLI, not a DWI. So thank you for that.
Well, he has a county charge, so that could be the ticket. The DWLI.
From the report I read, it was not real clear, but it looked like he was in Potter County Jail. It ended up in Lubbock County Jail and back in Potter County. Am I correct or incorrect?
I think you're correct, and I think that they are all separate charges because I think we looked up the Lubbock charge maybe at the last hearing.
Something about a possession of marijuana. I don't know where that took place.
I think that was in Lubbock.
Okay, so he's back here on the DWI third. Is he through with Lubbock?
I don't see any out-of-county holds on their public roster, Judge, but I cannot promise you that he is.
All right, well, I'm just going to assume for today that he's just here on a DWI third. And while we're at that, I'm still showing he's an alleged father. Am I correct or incorrect? Does anybody know?
I was just about to ask Miss Garcia if she had talked to him about whether or not he was the father and that. So
Yeah, Miss Garcia, have you had any conversations that were meaningful with Mr. Oliveris about whether he's the biological father of this child or not?
He's never denied to me that he is not the father. He always says that Eden is his son and that he does not, want to lose his son. So those are the conversations we've had.
Well, I just think everybody needs to be aware that I haven't read anything yet to say that he's presumed or acknowledged that he's still alleged, and we know where he is. Mr. Saint, if you could, are you having conversations with your client?
I have attempted to have a conversation with him that went nowhere, Your Honor. And I know when he appeared at the last, at one of the hearings before, he couldn't even sit still or things. I'm going to try to reach out to him again. Other than that, I'm not sure. I was not able to have a conversation to get any information from him. He just went off into stuff and started attacking me like he knew me or something. I don't know.
Okay, well, I just, especially if he's got some mental issues, I'm going to appoint a guardian ad litem for him, but at some point we either need to, in fairness to him, we either need to get him paternity tested or we need to do something with that. Because if he's got a diminished mental capacity, we've got to bend over backwards to find out that he is in fact really the biological father. So
I agree. Your Honor.
Yeah,
Thank
let's
you.
let's not let that slip through the cracks.
Judge, do you want to just go ahead and order the paternity testing today?
I plan to, unless, if he pops up and wants to sign an acknowledgement of paternity, if we get one or the other of those, then we've covered our bases and do the paternity registry search. So, okay. Ms. Wildman, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, any witnesses?
Miss Arona, I'll just call her very briefly to ask, make sure she's on board.
Sure. Ms. Arona, if you'd unmute, please.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Yesenia, you heard Miss Garcia's report to the court, is that correct?
Correct.
And did everything appear to be accurate based upon her historical rendition of what's been going on in the case?
Yes.
And are you continuing to work your services?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about what you're supposed to be doing at this point?
No.
Okay. If you do have questions, to contact my office and we can make sure you're understanding what you need to be doing. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. What's your current status in regards to, and I understand that was a big move. What is you are currently making applications for jobs and places to live?
Yes.
Okay. And as soon as you make progress, would you agree to let Ms. Garcia and my office know on your progress so we can stay current on your situation?
Absolutely.
And in regards to visits with your child, assuming they can work the logistics out, are you asking that you have some more extended visits as previously discussed with your child in this particular case?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Gutierrez, any questions for her?
It would be me, Judge, sorry.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wildman.
You're right. Just real briefly, Miss Arona, do you know what is the issue that your sister has, the sister you're living with has with doing a criminal history and background so that she can potentially help facilitate those visits?
I'm not I think it's more like personal for her. She doesn't have anything on her background, honestly, but I'm just not too sure how she really feels about it.
Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else that you can suggest to the court that might be able to help facilitate visits and maybe would be able to either take or pass a background check?
I'm not too sure at the moment.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Mr. Saint, questions?
Briefly, Ms. Arona, you may have been asked this before. I apologize. Are there any other possible fathers?
No.
For Mr. Olivares' charge. So you're positive that it's him?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Arona, has there ever been any kind of court proceeding about Eden? Like maybe you went after Mr. Olivares for child support or anything like that?
Yes, I have applied for child support on Mr. Olivares. It shows we do have an active case, but we haven't attended court or anything over it, so I'm not sure how
What
they're going along about it.
What county was that in?
I was in Oklahoma,
Oh, it's
but
in
I believe it was in Texas. My two cases are currently out of Texas.
Out of Texas?
Out of here.
Out of where in Texas?
Yes, out of Amarillo.
All right. So Potter or Randall?
Amarillo.
Either Potter or Randall.
I believe Randall.
Okay. You guys need to check both counties. Maybe we don't have an issue about paternity. So
we didn't find anything previously, Judge, but I can have them recheck.
Okay. You wouldn't have any paperwork from any kind of court that would give them a cause number, do you, Miss Arona?
I could actually get on to the Attorney General Office portal, and I believe there's a case number on there for that case. We've never established
anything you can find out. Give that to St. Francis so that we can get this issue of paternity out of the way. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, then, Ms. Wildman, anything further?
No, Your Honor, just the reasonable efforts and continuing danger findings, and then I think that's it.
Okay. All right, then, anyone else have any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Judge. I will tell the court, I will get with Miss Arona and we will figure out, maybe I can talk to the sister too as well. And for, if the court would not oppose some expanded visits, maybe if I talk to the sister and kind of explain kind of how this stuff works, I certainly understand an individual having concerns about the government doing an investigation. So I'll try to assist in that regard.
Okay. Well, are we talking about the sister for her to supervise visits or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's all we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I have no problem with Ms. Rona having additional visitation. It may have to be supervised by St. Francis, but yes, as far as that, I don't have a problem with ordering increased visitation today. So, okay.
Thank you, Judge.
And Judge, can we clarify that? Because I thought we were doing the background check so they could have visits at her house, the sister's apartment. That's why I thought we were having.
Right. That's what I'm talking, just so everybody's on the same page. That's literally what I'm talking about.
I can call Miss Silva or Miss Garcia back real quick and just ask her sort of what St. Francis was wanting to do, because she did testify that they want to do increased visitation. Maybe that'll clarify it.
Go ahead. Miss Garcia, if you'd unmute again.
So we are wanting to do increase the visits and do them at Miss Orona's house or where she's currently staying with her sister. The reason being is because I know that placement has facilitated, the last, for the past couple of months, they've been facilitating those in-person visits for 2 hours in their home. And so they would kind of like a little bit of relief. So that's why we were trying to do them to be at Miss Orona's home with her sister there, so that way we can increase them and we could have some relief for placement and also increase that visitation.
Okay. So I mean, what I'll do is I'll just order increased visitation. If, you know, obviously we can't make sister submit to any kind of background check if she doesn't want to. So if she doesn't want to, then we'll just have to increase the visitation somewhere else. So, okay. All right. Does anybody else have any further witnesses? All right, then, Ms. Wiggins, recommendations?
Thank you, Judge. I recommend that the department remain temporary managing conservator of the child. His placement be continued. Visited him there. He was very happy, very comfortable in the placement, very obsessed with Legos, and was really, really talkative, which was great. Super sweet kid. He does enjoy his visits with his mom, so I have no objection with increasing, as you've already ruled, visitation with her. Again, I would continue the no visitation with the father until he addresses his mental health issues. I know that that's one thing that actually caused the removal, and he was a little wanting his father to be calmer, I think is how he phrased it. And also, I think you already ruled on it, but I think with his mental health issues, I think it might be best to get the DNA test out of the way. I didn't see anything on the CCEJ check for an open case, so.
Okay. All right, then. I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Eden's current placement. I'll order paternity testing for the child and Mr. Oliveras. And I'll order increased visitation for Miss Orona. I'll order there be no visitation between Mr. Oliveras and the child until further court order. All right, I'll set our next hearing for November 3rd, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys, or parties can ask their attorneys, or anyone can go on the court's online docket a day or two before November 3rd to see exactly what time of day we'll have the hearing that day. So. All right, we'll be in recess on this case. I'll be back here very shortly to call a motion to participate, another Randall County case involving the Stringer child. So y'all have a good week. We will be in recess.
You did.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
And I think, Judge, I don't know if Mr. State was going to address this. I think they are going to modify their pleading to add the mental health termination ground. And so that will appoint him a guardian ad litem. And I don't know if that's something the court was in favor of.
Yeah, I've already made a note. I'm going to go ahead and appoint a guardian ad litem for him regardless whether that's the ground or not.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Sounds like
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right, I'll see some of you back here in about 5 minutes. This is a motion to participate involving the Stringer child. I've got to get the parties straight here now. Ms. Gutierrez, obviously for the department, and Ms. Wiggins representing the child. Now the question is, who's representing mom and dad?
Judge Vince here. And when I think the court had already appointed Miss Mullinax before I filed my, Miss Stringer retained me.
Okay.
I have a motion to substitute and an order, I believe, Judge, on file. I would ask the court to consider that.
Okay.
And so I will be representing Teresa Stringer.
Okay. I was out of town for the holidays, so it's probably in one of my queues, and I will sign that order that substitutes you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, now Mr. Stringer. Number one, is he with us anywhere? I didn't see him in the waiting room.
Judge, I just spoke to him. He was in the waiting room and he said he got bounced. I told him to log back in again, so he should be logging in momentarily.
Okay, now Mr. Hill, you're going to be representing him, so Ms. Graff can be
released. Yes, sir.
Do we have any kind of motion and order? I need to sign an order on it.
I can make an oral motion or I can file a written motion if you want, but I'll send you an order either way.
Yeah, just send me an order. I don't need the motion. So
okay.
Okay, so Ms. Graff, then you are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I have Kelsey White in the waiting room.
That is my worker on this one, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. White is with us, so Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I heard from Mr. Noack this morning that
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we wait till Mr. Stringer's?
Yeah, I'll give him a couple more minutes. Then I never saw him in my waiting room, but
Okay, let me call him again. I just was on the phone when the hearing started with him, but let me call him again just right quick, okay?
Let's be sure he's got the right link. He may be in somebody else's waiting room.
Okay, thanks, Judge. Yeah, sure. will.
Okay, sure.
And while we're waiting, Judge, I did talk to Teresa Gutierrez this morning, and Teresa Stringer is in agreement to working services as outlined in the petition.
Okay.
Teresa Gutierrez, the only thing we didn't discuss was visitation, but I guess we can talk about that when Mr. Stringer joins us.
Sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
so much.
if y'all need a breakout room, we've got until 3:15 on this case. So if you all need to talk some more, I'll be happy to put y'all in a breakout room.
You know what? A fast breakout room just for that issue, Judge, would sure be appreciated.
Sure. Let's wait and let Mr. Hill get his client with us.
And Your Honor, when that breakout room is done, if I could have Kelsey White, and I thought, Kelsey, where's your supervisor? Is Mel Tucker in the waiting room, Your Honor?
No, she
I was
was
like,
earlier. She was
She
in there
said
early.
she'd be on. I'll call her real quick.
She was in there earlier this morning.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
I've got Mr. Stringer on the phone, Judge. He is having issues logging in for some reason, but I've got him on speakerphone. I can confirm to you that this is his voice. I've had numerous in-person meetings with him. If you'll allow me to just come through my phone and my feed.
Yeah, as long as we
we're
can
good to go.
As long as we can hear him, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Noack, you want me to open the breakout room for the attorneys now?
That'd be wonderful, Judge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me get this set up. I'll put all the attorneys in a breakout room. Okay. I'll open that breakout room. We'll see y'all when you come back.
Thank you.
There is an agreement between all parties, Ms. Wiggins, the ad litem for the children, as well as Jeff Hill on behalf of the father, Mr. Noack on behalf of the mother. Both parents are in agreement to working the services as petitioned specifically for each one of them. In addition to that, mother will have visitation of 1 hour per week supervised by the department, and the child will continue in his placement with the father. In addition to that, both parents are in agreement to drug screen by hair follicle and urinalysis by 12 noon tomorrow, 12 p.m.
Here, NUA.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Hey, come here. What?
Sorry about that. That was background noise from Mr. Stringer. Apparently he's got his son with him.
Is that the entire agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that's the entire agreement.
And you said mother's visits 1 hour weekly at where supervised?
Supervised by the department.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Noack, you've heard what Ms. Gutierrez has announced. Is that your client's agreement?
That is our agreement, Judge, and I just want Teresa Stringer to know that we'll be coming back for more visitation as circumstances allow. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Hill, you've heard that announcement. Is that your client's agreement?
Judge, it is, and we have one other request that you order the parties, neither one to cut their hair, bleach their hair, or color their hair before the drug test tomorrow.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I did have a message from Mel Tucker just now. She indicates that the father has drug screened. Mel, can you let me know what type of drug screens those were?
He did urine.
He did a UA?
Yes, he did a UA. We were gonna send for a hair, and
she's broken up for
I
me.
believe that's when we
Let's just get them both to do both.
waited for this, and so I do not believe that's been sent yet.
I don't know who's talking, but I'm going to order both parents to both hair and UA, and we'll all have a baseline on everything. Okay. So that's with the Mr. Hill. I think it was you that announced not to alter or cut their hair. So that I'm going to incorporate that into the drug testing order. So I assume nobody's got a problem with that. Okay, give me just a second. Ms. Wiggins, are you in agreement?
I am, Judge.
Okay. Okay, I will approve that agreement. I will order the parents to work the service, each parent to work the services as set out in the department's petition. I'll order that Ms. Stringer have 1 hour weekly supervised or visitation supervised by the department. I'll order both parents to both hair strand and UA drug screen by 12 o'clock noon tomorrow at Care Express in Amarillo. And I'll order both parents not to alter their hair or cut their hair in any fashion before the drug screening that's been ordered. Okay, do we want a compliance hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, if we could get a compliance 2 or 3 months out. I don't know if any of the other have a preference.
I've got no September 5th or October 6th. Y'all just tell me which you want.
I think September. September sounds good, Judge.
Everybody in agreement with that one?
And just to remind you, Judge, that is a Friday.
All right, let's not do the Friday. Let's do, how are we looking on the September 8th?
Teresa, do you think we can fit that one? I know that day is getting really busy, which is why I offered a Friday.
Okay, let me open up my stuff over here real quick. Give me one.
I don't mind a Friday if y'all are doing it for me. I don't mind.
But I think it's a holiday. I think.
Oh, I do mind
noticed
holiday.
you didn't have a holiday. I'm sorry, you didn't have a docket that week.
September 1st is the holiday.
Brittany,
Man, everybody's talking. I'm just gonna let y'all talk and you tell me what you want.
El Bedrawi has gone away because we resolved that one. So that's still on the online docket, but we will not need to have that hearing if that helps clear some stuff up.
What
Okay,
date?
then that would be the 8th, so then we can definitely do that.
Okay. Okay, then I will set the compliance hearing for September 8th, 2025. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearings. So parties can get with their attorneys, or anyone can go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time on September 8th we'll have that hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is the child's placement with the father also approved?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't announce it. Yes, I'll make that part of the order. Okay, in addition to my previous order, the child continued to be placed with Michael Stringer. All right, I appreciate you guys working that out. Our next hearing is not until 3:15. That is a motion to participate, another Randall County case on the Mason child. That is a Texas Family First case. So y'all have a good week, and I'll see some of you back at 3:15.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to leave the Zoom open just till 3:15.
Judge, thank you so much. And I'm back at 3:45. If you'd be so kind as to put me in the waiting room, I sure would appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, I will do so.
Thank you, Judge. Teresa, I'm fixing to call you.
This is a motion to participate, which is a Texas Family First case. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Mr. Barfield is with us representing the mother, Ms. Evans, who is also with us. That's all the parties. I've got, I had Kathy Jones in the waiting room twice. One of them's, I don't know where the other is still trying to join, but she's here with us, so I don't know who the other one is.
Okay.
I have Becky Amos and Misty Fronter House.
Okay, Becky Amos is my worker on this one, Your Honor.
Okay.
Kathy, is that other name the name of the worker for the TFF program? It looks like she's saying yes, Your Honor. Can we bring that lady in as well, please?
Yeah, I'm trying. I hit both Kathy Jones. It's the other one's.
I'm
Well, it
sorry.
says
I'm here, Judge.
Okay, the other one's just spooling, saying trying to join. So I guess we don't need whoever it was supposed to be.
Misty Fronterhouse needs to be.
Okay. She needs to be in. Okay, that's who I'm getting in. Okay, she's with us now. So Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I start by asking the court to take judicial notice of the family plan of service filed on July 3rd of 2025.
Okay, so noted.
Thank you. And I do believe that these TFF cases, these Texas Family First cases, are usually done by agreement. Mr.
Yeah.
Barfield, is your client in agreement to working this TFF?
My understanding is she is. Miss Evans, would you verbalize whether you intend to work services and participate or not?
Yes, I would, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. We ask for Ms. Evans to be ordered to participate in that program, as well as that family plan of service be made an order of the court that was filed on July 3rd.
Give me just a second. All right, Ms. Wiggins, are you in agreement?
Yes, I am, Judge.
Okay, then I will approve that agreement. I will order Miss Evans to work the services as contained in the Family Plan of Service filed July 3rd, 2025. Do we want a compliance hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
How far out?
2 or 3 months out. Brooks, does it matter to you how far out we do this?
How about 60 days out, Judge? Does that sound
Okay.
reasonable?
Yeah, I've got this. I guess we could do it September 8th. I will set a compliance hearing for Barfield or hearings. One is on Rayleigh Dominguez, the child. The other one is on that Valles and Carver Jr. children. So thank you all for working that out. First case being representing the child. Mr. Barfield is with us representing Mr. Hathaway, who is with us. I'll watch the waiting room while we're calling the other case. I'd also call Randall County case cause number 85097C. In that case, again, Miss Wildman James, and she's not with us. And again, Miss Dominguez is with us. Miss Grant is not. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, have other engagements this afternoon, so we can't wait long. We're going to go ahead and get started. Miss Grant still has not joined us. I've sent her a text message and I'll watch the waiting room for her. We need to go ahead and get going on these. So, all right, Miss Wildman, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. We have a motion to retain on this case that we filed. I don't think we've sent the order over to you yet. Those were that at least as of the time we'd pull for reunification still. So that's
okay.
They are technically separate. I think we all kind of lump them together.
Okay. No.
Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Then in both cases, I will grant the department's motion to extend the case and retain the case on the court's docket. Mr. Koval, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Wildman.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Mr. Koval, are you the permanency specialist assigned to both of these cases?
I am.
All right, and let's start by getting an update on the children. Let's start with Rayleigh. Is she still placed with her?
She's with her maternal great grandmother. She made good grade volleyball season and is enjoying her summer with her grandmother and her cat and getting together with friends. She's happy and healthy. She's not on any medications and she's up to date on everything.
All right, perfect. Is she going into 7th grade or did she finish 7th grade?
She's going into 7th grade.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other basic court needs on Rayleigh?
No.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Stephen. Stephen is still in his fictive kinship placement, correct?
Yes, he is.
All right, and what updates do you have for us on Stephen since the last hearing?
Stephen is doing well. Going back to Rayleigh, I'll just say happy birthday to Rayleigh. She had her birthday on the 3rd of July. Stephen's birthday is coming up on the 15th of July. We've got 3 of these 4 kids that all have birthdays within a couple of weeks of each other. So we were able to have a sibling visit the last week of June and celebrate 3 of the 4 birthdays. So that was good. Stephen's doing really well in his fictive kin placement. He completed 1st grade, finished his 1st grade year really strongly after struggling a little bit earlier in the year and with all the changes from, the placement and everything. But he finished really strong. He'll be moving up to 2nd grade. He hasn't had to do summer school or anything of that nature. So Stephen's happy and healthy and doing well.
And is Stephen on any kind of medications?
He's not.
Okay.
He does see a therapist with rolling planes. So that's the only service really that he needs at this time.
All right. Now, let's see. Coa and James, are they still in the same foster placement they've been with?
They are. They're in Lubbock County in that foster placement, and that placement has done really well with them. They're thriving. They go to a daycare / school that is private, that the foster family takes care of out of their own pocket because they weren't really happy with the previous daycare. And the kids are both doing very, very well in that new school. And they also came up for
for the sibling visit / birthday party at the end of June, and it was Koa's birthday. So got to see them, and they're just very, very happy children.
Now, Koa is the kiddo that was having the issues with holding his breath during tantrums. What's the most recent update on that?
The most recent update on that is he did have his neurologist appointment in mid-May. The neurologist really didn't see any reasons for concern, but out of an abundance of caution, and because this breath holding, passing out behavior can sometimes indicate cardiac issues, he was referred to a cardiologist, and he has an appointment on September 17th with the cardiologist.
Okay. But based on the court report, is it fair to say that the neurologist is pretty hopeful that it's just going to be a behavior that he'll grow out of?
Yes, and in fact, although he still gets upset and holds his breath, the actual passing out component of that, I don't.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the parents and their service plans. So let's start with Mr. Valles. Is he still in custody?
Yes, he is in a unit of TDCJ on a multi-year sentence. And he's in a faith-based dormitory, and he's told my LPS worker that his ability to work services is very limited where he is right now. What I can do is send him our parenting packet, which he can fill out and return and get some credit for doing that.
All right, and let's see. Do you recall just off the top of your head when his projected release date might be?
I believe that when he went to TDCJ, it was October of last year, and it was a 12-year sentence. Okay. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know when he's eligible for parole, but I think that if he fulfills his entire sentence, I believe it's 12 years.
Okay. Now, because of that incarceration, has that limited his ability to complete most of his service plan for things like, finding a job and showing stability and things like that?
Yes, he signed his family plan after I went over it with him and after I mailed it to him. And so he's agreed to that, but he doesn't really have the ability to do much at this point.
Okay. And you are making preparation to send him that parenting packet?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's shift over to let me ask, have there been any updates or anything on a possible father for Stephen Carver?
Yes, we from talking with the mom, Jessica Dominguez, she did give us the name of a past boyfriend. And I know there have been some attempts to serve him, but he isn't showing up at the agreed upon place and time for them to serve him in this case.
Is that Tori Torres?
Yes, that is correct.
I'm sorry, what was the name?
Tori, Torrie or EY, Torres, Torres.
Okay, thank you.
And have you made efforts to contact Mr. Torres?
I have a phone number for him. He's not returned my call.
Right. Now, let's shift over to the case with Rayleigh. What sort of contact and communication have you had with Mr. Hathaway?
Mr. Hathaway actually called me this morning to inform me that he had been released from his county jail incarceration. I believe he said July 1st was when he was released. The court report did say that he was still incarcerated, but that was just a few days prior to July 1st when he was released. So he is seeking employment, not employed at this time, but he may go back to the roofing job that he had done in the past. He's living with a mentor that he had lived with before, and trying to get back on track. But he did contact me and let me know of his current, whereabouts and his situation change.
Did you have a conversation at all with him this morning about working his services?
Yes, the service that we would like him to work is the BIP program. And so I told him that I would contact Family Support Services and would get a schedule for when those classes are offered. And then I will let him know when that is and if he needs assistance with transportation so that we can get him going on those classes.
Okay. And did you talk to him about some of the other things that were in the court report as part of the service plan, such as the drug testing and just maintaining that housing and employment and everything?
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time to talk, so we didn't go over the entire family plan all over again. But those are things that we will be expecting Mr. Hathaway to do, to submit to drug testing and to show stability in his situation and remain in contact.
Okay. So let's talk now about the mother in this case, Miss Dominguez, and since the last, court hearing, what sort of progress has she been making?
She's made some progress in her services. Her employment has remained stable. She did move from a 3-bedroom rental home to a 1-bedroom apartment to save money. That 1-bedroom apartment certainly would not be large enough for her to have the children reunified with her there. She completed a domestic violence support group, but I have not received the proof of that being completed just yet. And I believe that she completed parenting classes. She's attended some outpatient rehab with Centacor, and she has attended some counseling sessions. Her hair follicle drug test at the end of April was still positive. It was about half the level of the previous hair follicle test. However, toward the end of June, the last week of June, she did admit to me that she had relapsed.
Now, prior to the relapse, were the UA tests coming back negative?
Yes, the UAs were coming back negative. And then that hair follicle, the most recent hair follicle was April 27th. And as I said, it was about half the level of the previous one.
And so that was consistent with what we were seeing, that it appeared she was showing some sobriety, correct?
She showed some sobriety until at some point in June.
And in fact, I guess that some point in June was fairly close to the time that we were making the decision to retain this case, correct?
Correct.
Now, did she reach out to you and let you know what was going on? As far as the relapse, and was there a subsequent hospitalization?
There was a subsequent hospitalization. She did call me frequently while she was at the hospital. And when we had our first conversation from there, I just kind of asked her what happened, and she said that she had relapsed.
And when we say the hospital, where exactly was she?
The Pavilion.
And I'm assuming, just based on her being here, has she since been released from the Pavilion?
Yes, she was only there from, I want to say maybe a Thursday to the following Monday or Tuesday.
Did she share any of her discharge recommendations with you, or aftercare recommendations?
She has not.
Okay. And so, based off of that based off of the positive progress we saw in this new relapse, are we asking that she complete any additional services?
Yes, I would like for her to submit to another OSAR and see what is recommended as far as inpatient versus outpatient rehab.
Is it fair to say that the department is wanting her to do a inpatient rehab after her relapse while doing an outpatient program?
I believe that if we get an official recommendation from a professional for her to do that, then, that would be warranted.
Okay. And are you wanting her to do some sort of mental health evaluation through Texas Panhandle Centers and follow their recommendations in light of the pavilion stay?
I think that that would be recommended as well.
Yeah. Now let's talk about visitation and what sort of visitation's been going on. Obviously, Mr. Valles has not been having any visitation with the younger two boys, correct? Because he's incarcerated.
Correct.
What is, I guess, the current court order regarding visitation for Mr. Hathaway?
For Mr. Hathaway, what was happening before his incarceration was that there were phone calls with Rayleigh. Rayleigh does have a phone. But with him going back to incarceration for a number of months and not really having contact with Rayleigh and kind of being in and out of her life, we have concerns about that. And what we would like to see is that if there is contact, that it be supervised.
Okay. Now, do we have any, other than supervised visitation, or do we have a recommendation regarding whether that should be through telephone or in person or therapeutic? Do we have any specific recommendations at this time?
I believe our recommendation is just that if the court does want contact to occur, that it be supervised phone calls. With Vic being in another city and with not having transportation of his own, I think that in-person contact would be kind of difficult. And he seemed to be content with being in touch with her by phone before. But we just have the reservations about, we want to make sure that he's completing services, and he needs to get into the BIP program and get that completed, which he had not been able to do before. So we would like for that to be a condition of any contact that he does have. And we think that it's in Rayleigh's best interest that the contact be supervised.
Okay. Now, at the last hearing, in regards to Miss Dominguez's visitation, was that suspended by the court until there was a negative hair follicle test?
That's correct.
And so even though she was starting to show some progress, did she ever make it to the point where she was able to restart that visitation?
No, she did not. The hair follicles, we usually do those tests every 3 months, and we would have done it again, toward the end of this month. But obviously that clock is, reset with the relapse.
Does the department have any recommendations as far as visitation restarting or any conditions that they'd ask from the court regarding that?
We would just ask to continue the orders as they are, no visitation until we have a negative hair follicle test.
Okay, and are you asking for anybody to drug screen today?
I don't have anything to order today.
Okay. Then as far as the continuing danger is concerned, what's the continuing danger with placing any of the children back with Miss Dominguez?
Well, the continuing danger is her substance use that she's struggled with for quite some time, and that was a factor that led to neglect with the younger children, leaving them on the front porch of her grandmother's. So the substance use and the neglect as a result of the substance use is something that we still have concerns about until she can have continued sobriety and stability.
What is the continued danger with placing the younger two boys with Mr. Valles?
Mr. Valles is incarcerated in TDCJ, so it would not be appropriate for placement there.
And then what are the continuing danger concerns as far as placing Rayleigh back with Mr. Hathaway at this time?
Mr. Hathaway has been in and out of jail, and he's dealt with substance use issues as well, and he needs to have stability and employment and housing and sobriety. in order to provide a proper home for Rayleigh.
And would it be fair to say that he's had, I mean, a fairly minimal relationship with Rayleigh, and we'd like to see that grow into something more potentially before we felt that that would be an appropriate placement?
Yes.
Now, as far as what are some of the reasonable efforts the department's making to reunify these children with their parents?
We continue to make sure that the children are thriving and doing well themselves, and we continue to work with each of the parents to review their service plans on a regular basis, to tailor those service plans for their unique situations, and encourage them to work those services.
Are there any other updates that the court needs at this time regarding any of the parents of the children?
I don't believe so.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Tim, do you know, is Mr. Hathaway done with his criminal matters, or did he come out on probation or parole, or?
He told me this morning that he continues to be on parole, and I guess technically what he said was that it's house arrest. He can go to work between 8 and 5, but I guess he has a curfew, and then on weekends he has to stay at his residence.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Ms. Grant, you have any questions?
Just one, Your Honor. Tim, does Stephen Carter continue to do biweekly therapy at Rolling Plains?
He does.
Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
So, thank you, Judge. So, Mr. Koval, so basically what I'm hearing from you is that, would you have any objections in regards to visits, if those visits were by, say, Zoom or FaceTime rather than just a regular phone call? Supervised, of course.
I believe the key there is supervision. If the judge were to so order that contact resume, then whether that's phone call or whether that's Zoom, doesn't really matter. But the last I heard, Rayleigh, I guess, was struggling a little bit with the fact that her father did go back to jail, and so, I think there's some concern there about her feelings about the matter, and so Rayleigh's interests and concern needs to be taken into account as well, and that's why I think we need the supervision.
Sure, absolutely. And I agree with that, and I think Mr. Hathaway does as well. That's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right, thank you. Mr. Noack?
No questions, Judge. I'd just like to thank Tim for his excellent updates. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, Judge.
Absolutely. Tim, you said that Mr. Hathaway wasn't local. Where's he living?
Well, Mr. Hathaway's in Pampa, so he's not very far away. He's just an hour away from Rayleigh.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Wildman, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, Ms. Grant, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Thank you, Mr. Barfield.
I just want to ask my client a couple of questions, just mainly for clarification to the court about his situation.
Sure. Mr. Hathaway, if you'd unmute.
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Hathaway, my understanding is you are currently on parole.
Yes, sir.
You do not have any new pending criminal charges?
No, sir.
That are you on parole until May of 2026?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you gotten, based on the current charges and your parole, you are not anticipating going back to jail during the pendency of this case?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Koval mentioned some conditions about your parole. You do have parole conditions.
Yes, sir, I do.
But those conditions won't prevent you from getting enrolled in BIP and beginning to work services now that you've got your jail time out of the way.
No, sir. As long as I can go to that class before 5 o'clock in the afternoon, from 8 to 5, because I'm on house arrest for 2 months. 2 to 3 months. I don't know for how long, but
Okay. And will you agree to keep in contact with Mr. Coble so that he knows your situation, so the department can work with you, so we can start, getting you in a better place with your daughter?
yes, sir.
Okay. And do you agree to work these services as ordered by the court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are you currently seeking employment?
Yes, sir, I am.
What's your transportation situation?
I really don't have one right now, but
Okay. So
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
virtual visits, and by virtual, I mean either telephone or face or Zoom, whatever. We are asking that you have some supervised visits with your daughter, as long as she's okay with that. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions for the court?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Pass a witness.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Hathaway?
No, sir.
Okay, then, Mr. Noack, you didn't have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
All right, Mr. Noack, recommendations?
My recommendation is to continue TMC and continue placement. And, Stephen is doing great with his uncle. Rayleigh is doing great with her great grandmother, which it seems that we have that a lot going on with great grandparents raising kids.
Yes.
And James and Koa are doing great in their foster placement. And I'll just mention this. All three placements are motivated to adopt if that's where we're headed.
Okay.
Judge, continue TMC, continue placement, and encourage parents to do what they need to do. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. All right, then, I'll make my rulings on this. This will apply to both cases, and then I'll handle an extra thing about Rayleigh and Mr. Hathaway. But in both cases, I'll continue the department as temporary manager, conservator, continue the current placements. I'll order in both cases Miss Dominguez to complete a second OSAR assessment and a TPC evaluation and follow all recommendations from both of those. I'll order that Miss Dominguez's visitation continue to be suspended until she provides a negative hair strand drug screen. In the case involving Rayleigh and Mr. Hathaway, I'll order that Mr. Hathaway's visits will be as recommended by Rayleigh's therapist, and regardless of that recommendation, they will be supervised. Okay, I believe that's my rulings. Brittany left early, and I do not have a date for the next hearing. I did note that we've got to have our next hearing by November 4th. I don't know if anybody's got a calendar handy.
The last case that I had a permanency hearing in, we set it for November 3rd.
Okay, that'll work. All right, in both cases, our next permanency hearing will be November 3rd, 2025. All of the parents can contact their lawyers, and everyone can go on my court's online docket a day or two before November 3rd to see the exact time that we'll have the hearing on November 3rd. So, all right, this was our last hearing for the day. We will stand in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. You too.
Thank y'all.